idea of the Irish Taoiseach going to the United States for a celebration. It is a celebration, and giving a present of a bowl of Shamrock to Joe Biden at this moment in time. I doubt if there would be much support for it there. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, just to comment on the ongoing saga in RTE, and I think Siún Rallah's comments confirm exactly what People Before Profit said last week, which is that this is a shambles largely of the government's making, and that the government have failed to take the situation in RTE in hand for about 9 months now. They have failed to resolve any of the issues that lay at the heart of the scandal that erupted last summer in terms of excessive salaries, payouts, and golden handshakes, and proper financial governance of the state broadcaster. And that the comment of Siún Rallah that the minister is taking a hands-off approach confirms exactly what we've said. They failed to address the issue of the financing of RTE, and in fact all the signs are that exactly the things that shouldn't have happened in the aftermath of the RTE scandal erupting are going to happen. Workers are going to lose their jobs, there will be suppression of jobs, and the quality of public service broadcasting will be degraded because the government have failed to address the issue of the financing of RTE. So the minister needs to come in, answer questions, but it's not just about the who knew what when. The fundamental problem is the failure of the government to address the substantial issues at the heart of this crisis, and we have made clear our view that what needs to happen is we need to scrap the TV licence, a regressive and anachronistic way of financing public service broadcasting. We need direct exchequer funding to finance public service broadcasting, and it should be paid for by imposing a tax on the social media companies and the video streamers who are making an absolute fortune. A small tax on these entities could provide the finance necessary to safeguard and indeed develop public service broadcasting in the public interest, and to ensure that workers in RTE who've done nothing wrong are not the victims of the malgovernance of politicians and executives at the top of RTE. The other thing I just would say, just because it's if you like, a connected hobby horse of mine, is that the hands-off approach of the minister on RTE is also echoed in the approach to what I believe to be as serious issues in the Irish film industry, also under her remit, also in the audio-visual sector, and also involving a lot of the same people, because there's such an overlap and there seems to be a reluctance in government and frankly in the media to look into the huge amounts of public money that go into the Irish film industry, but where there's a very serious case coming from the actors, the performers and the stage crew that the quality employment and training, which is the condition of that funding, is not actually happening, and that film producers are flagrantly breaching the conditions, the legal conditions of public funding of the Irish film industry, and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. I've been raising it for years, but nobody wants to talk about it because it's the same group of people involved, often direct overlaps with the top of RTE and the top of the Irish film industry. So I just once again want to say that, because this hands-off approach to huge amounts of public money, which should be about ensuring quality employment and quality cultural, artistic and news output, we need proper governance of that, and the government have clearly failed, and the minister needs to answer questions about all of that.
Yeah, firstly, just to reiterate the point that Mick has made, this is the last week of the Dáil before St. Patrick's Day. we will be doing everything we can to apply pressure in there to say that Leo Varadkar should not be giving a bowl of shamrock to Genocide Joe Biden, and no other Irish political leader should be going over to meet the leaders of the US administration on St. Patrick's Day and to allow them to pretend that they are friends of Ireland when the people of Ireland can see before our eyes just horror upon horror, starving the people of Gaza and then mowing them down, running them over with tanks whenever they try to get access to food aid, and all of that facilitated, paid for by the US. The second point is to say that we had a very impressive solidarity march on Saturday, over 10,000 people on the streets, rejecting the hatred, rejecting the division, opposing the war, and coming together to say we're united to fight for the right to housing for everybody, to fight for decent healthcare for everybody, to fight against the completely unnecessary, unjust, deep inequality in our society. But in contrast to that display of solidarity, you have the continued really mean actions by the government to leave people on the streets in extremely cold temperature. Obviously, when the snow started last week, there was over 1,000 people put onto the streets, asylum seekers, including children, who were on the streets in horrific conditions. The government came under pressure to open up centres to allow people to have some sort of extremely basic, limited shelter, and then when the snow is gone, they've been kicked out of that accommodation back onto the streets. I raised this last Thursday with Micheál Martin in Leaders' Questions. I put it to him that it was a policy choice, and a disgusting policy choice, to put asylum seekers, to put anyone, but they've chosen to put non-Ukrainian asylum seekers on the street. He denied it was a policy choice. He said, no, this isn't a policy choice, this is kind of by necessity. But it is proven by what happened over the weekend that it is a disgusting policy choice. When they came under pressure because of the bad weather, they were able to find space for people. The people who have been ejected from emergency IPA accommodation have said that the facilities they've been kicked out of are mostly empty. There are 5,000 empty beds which are inadequate, they're not what we think people should be in, but there's some form of shelter, and the government is choosing to put people on the streets rather than have them there. And I think that is scandalous. It is dancing to the tune of the far right. It's trying to divide people. There is no need for anybody in this country, Irish person, Ukrainian person, Syrian person, man, woman or child, to be on the streets. That is not necessary, and it is disgusting that the government continues to choose to do precisely that.
Do you think Catherine Martin should resign?
To be honest, I think it's about the whole of government. I mean, this isn't just about individual failures. This is a collective failure on the part of the government that has rumbled on for 9 months now. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable that they haven't got a hold of this. So I hold them collectively responsible. I don't have confidence in any of them, really, to address this. And that's why we want to see an election. I mean, some of us have a very clear policy on public service broadcasting, which we've articulated from the outset. And the government, 9 months into it, still has no policy. So we don't know how they're going to finance RTE. We don't know what's going to happen to jobs in RTE. We don't know what will be left of RTE and public service broadcasting at the end of it. And that's 9 months on. That, to me, is just a collective failure of government, and shows what a frankly useless government this is when it comes to a pretty important issue that should have been long since put to bed.